Hi everyone, Bandana here. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another little preview of some stuff from Hunger. Today is going to be a little bit of guesswork and a little bit of thought about what certain things are. And if you have any in-depth knowledge on weaponry from the Napoleonic era, please do let us know down in the comments your thoughts on some of the weapons we're going to see today. And the focus of today's video will be the weapons and the items that they've kind of shown off. That'll be things like containers, backpacks, weapon items such as grenades, ampules for healing, your guns, your melee, etc, etc. And we'll throw in some keys and containers as well. So, first up, as you can see in the background right now, is what I'm going to describe as the bloater enemy. It seems to be what we've all decided it is, a bloater like you would get in Left 4 Dead. Now, this was actually available when I made my last video, but it was released separately to the press stuff, so I completely forgot about it. But there you go, another mob that they've revealed. I like its tiny little arms. It's like a T-Rex. Very entertaining. Okay, let's get down to the other bits and pieces. A polite reminder, by the way, to, of course, subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date on this Hunger stuff. Okay, I think a great place to start is bags, because there are a variety of bags in this game. It looks like you're going to have backpacks and hip bags, and I'm not sure if they're going to be a bit like Tarkov in that you can put different things in them and they have different access speeds and stuff like that, or if they're just going to be aesthetics. I assume it's going to be more like Tarkov. I will, of course, put chapters in the video, by the way, so you can skip to whichever bit you want. So this is the first set of backpacks. You've got everything from a damp sack there to a very nice basket, all the way up to quite a fancy box at the end there. Obviously a burlap sack as well, or a burlap sort of little pocket bag for over the shoulder. Then we've got a nice leather bag, sort of with straps and a handle. A barrel bag. Then we've got a drum that has been repurposed. We've got a backpack there, a Grenadier's battle pack, which looks quite fancy. And then at the end there, what even text is this? Trader Leon's something? It's a nice backpack, but it's obviously for traveling. Next up we have a couple of longer bags here, so I assume if it's going to be like Tarkov, you're going to be able to fit certain things that are certain shapes in different backpacks. So I guess they'll have different amounts of slots. Again, I'm assuming here. I'm not certain. So we've got a nice sort of long bag to start. Then we've got the Coldstream pack, which is more like a standard backpack. And then we've got another two long ones with pockets on as well. And are the pockets separate? Will it be a bit like Tarkov that you've got like a main pack and then pockets as well? Sort of separate squares. Then we've got some gun bags and a chest. Now the chests we'll talk about in a different section, but just while we're here, you've got a couple of holsters there. So that's the Apollo holster and then a hunting sling, obviously for a rifle. I assume these allow you to equip weapons, but I'm not sure. It's difficult to say. These might just be how you find weapons in the game, like they're on walls in these things. And then we've got an armor chest, which I guess you're going to find armor within it, but you need a key to open it, or you need to be able to lockpick. And both of these are in the game. There are keys, and there will be a roguelike class set where you can lockpick things, though whether there's limits on that lockpicking, we just don't know yet. Next, we've got hip bags. So again, they come in a variety of different flavors. This, I wonder, is if it's like for money or smaller items or quick access slots. So you've got like a butterfly canister, they call that there. It's a little mini barrel. You've got a purse, which is just a long one. It looks more like you put a dagger or something in it. Then you've got a couple of sets of sort of pockets. The Pegasus I quite like. That reminds me more of a saddlebag. Obviously you've got the crucifix hanging from it there. You'll notice there's a lot of skulls and skeletons, or a lot of crucifixes. There's like a bit of a mixture there. Lots of religious theming in this one. And then this is those again, but with a slightly different look for the purse and also the Pegasus. That Pegasus looks snazzy as hell. Look at that gold inlay and everything. That is really... I want that. That is the hip bag I want. Then we've got some more basic hip bags. So we've got a little pouch. We've got a rusty bucket. We've got a ragged sack. And then we've got a little basket as well. So a bit of variety there. And again, I say I don't know if these are going to be things you interact with and are actually have slots, or if this is just stuff they're planning to have as, you know, aesthetically pleasing things hanging off your characters. A few more ones. So we've got an old satchel, pretty standard stuff. You've got a little purse. We've got a sort of flippy foldy thing, and again a case of the old guard, very similar to the previous one. And that's everything in bags. Let's move on. I think a nice place to follow on from bags is containers, and let's start with those keys. So there's going to be a variety of different keys in the game, whether you can buy them or just find them, I'm not sure. I think it'll be a mixture of both. There are going to be chests to unlock in the game, there are going to be rooms with treasure in to unlock, and there are going to be keys dropped by bosses, I think. After you fight the boss, there will be like a treasure room in some of these dungeons they're planning. And as you can see, there are a variety of different keys, from the very most basic metal up to, you know, bronze, silver, and gold. So there's going to be some very fancy things you can open with those. Again, I'm not sure as to the level of the rogue capability of lockpicking and whether you'll be able to do the gold ones as well. So, types of lockboxes and things. So this is a lockbox, silver pocket. It's got the tumbler on the top, and I'm not sure if this is something you would carry, or if it's something you'll find in the world. It could very well be something you hold, and a bit like Tarkov, that if your character dies, you lose other items, but anything that's in this lockbox you keep. Because it's similar to the gamma boxes and stuff you get in Tarkov, right? Then we've got some actual loot crates, and can I just say, as we're going through this stuff, the art team deserve an amazing pat on the back, because the stuff they've made is absolutely fantastic, and I love the fact they've included some of their reference material in some of these images. So here we have a very nice lockbox. You can see it's quite small compared to the person in the bottom right corner there. Very detailed boxes, key hole on the front there, and you can see where they've pulled in some of their ideas. Obviously, you know, made of metal, and perhaps some of these are going to be made of wood, but this one in particular appears to be made fully of metal. Speaking of wood, here we are with some old polished wood. You've got, again, some varying wooden references there, including what looks like some stone windows that have been sort of miniaturized down to make a rim on the top and the bottom of this box. This one obviously being slightly bigger than the previous. Then we've got this fancy thing, which is now coming up towards chest height. This is more like a little house with a lot of drawers in the side. It does look very fancy. Whether you'll be able to access the drawers separately from the main bulk of this little house-style lockbox, I'm not sure. You've got a lock on there. You've got some old polished wood. This one more mahogany. You've got candles on it. So it's trying to look, I guess, a little bit churchy in its nature. There's plenty of crosses and things on there. And then exactly the same again, but without all the candles on it. A little bit cleaner. Again, it's wooden with, you know, metal rims and everything and edgings. Very fancy looking. A lot of detail. Then we've got another type of loot crate, which again, going up to chest level. This one appears to be a big metal cylinder. I can't see where the keyhole is on this. I'm assuming it's something to do with the stuff that's on top there. You can see there's like an Angel of Death style figure. And this is where we're going from religion into all of these skeletons and things. Whether this is sort of a different sect or something else, I don't know. But there's certainly these two aesthetics at the moment. Then we've got a nice picture of a well here. And while I would put that in the environmental stuff normally, the reason I've put it here is because in the background there you can see some of those chests that we've just looked at, including the armor chest, which is towards the left. And then there's a bigger chest behind that as well. So there's more chests available than they've shown us so far. And the last one here is what is a blacksmith chest, but it is a secret chest. So again, it appears to have some kind of key mechanism on the front there, and it's got a fake anvil on. And I like the fact they've shown their inspiration for this here. So they've got an actual anvil there from a blacksmith with the wood on, but obviously this is different. And then, of course, some standard baskets that you're going to find in a shop, but I don't think that's necessarily anything major in the game per se. Okay, that's this section. Let's move on. Okay, so now we're on to sort of varying items, and I've tried to split these into sections. So first up are ampules. There are a variety of different ampules, and they seem to have different colours of potions inside. Blue, I have no idea what this is. Could be stamina, could be heal over time, could be something completely different, could be like an antidote shot or something, because there is definitely going to be poison in this game. And then, in a similar vein to this, you've got your, what I would consider HP potions, your healing potions, which are the same sort of thing, the same design, but with a red potion inside instead. I expect they're just going to reuse these and just have different colours to differentiate what they actually do. So, what about armour? So, there's a few different things about armour that they've released so far. Not armour itself. However, we are seeing repair items and things like that. This is called an armor stamp. Now, you pull the fuse out of this, it seems to heat up, and then you can insert an armor patch and stamp it. I'm assuming this is either going to be stamp your logo on it, or it's going to be for stamping or imbuing armor with some additional benefits or bonuses, which would make the most sense. I think armor in this is going to be a bit like Tarkov. You want to keep it, retain it, upgrade it, and repair it. And there are various repair items we'll get to in a minute. But this is obviously a way to upgrade your armor to some degree. Next up, you've got what is called the armor kit or repair kit. They're sort of pliers. I think these are, part of the repair kit for your armor, of varying qualities. So, starting at the most basic iron stuff at the far left, working your way up to gold inlaid stuff. I assume it's going to vary on the types of armor they can repair, and also, indeed, the amount they repair, perhaps. Again, lots of questions there. Then we've got some repair patches, and these range from this very basic sort of cloth type armor, going up to a leather armor, then sort of your almost chainmail-esque type armor, bit more heavy plate, and then whatever this is, because this is at the end of that set, which would make it the fanciest, but I don't think it necessarily is plate armor. Maybe it is. It's very finely created and patterned and stuff. Very fancy. I don't know how these repair patches will work. I assume they hook on to your existing armor, but I'm curious how they work. But obviously there are different stages for different types of armor, and there they are in all their glory, all of them next to each other. So I'm assuming they only work with certain types of armor, like cloth is going to work with cloth and plate is going to work with plate. Okay, let's move on. So next, let's have a look at bottles. So, a bit like Tarkov, it looks like you're going to be eating and drinking in this game. So, they've got a variety of bottle types here, and they've looked at what types of containers would have been available at the time and tried to replicate that ideology or that type of material into their own design. So, they haven't copied exactly, they've adapted it. So these are all drinks bottles. Obviously, you can see on a couple of them there are maybe sort of indications it's wine, but they're probably going to be for water. But you've got thick green glass, worn leather, old clay, darkened silver, and then polished veneer and gold. So you've got a nice selection there. Whether that's just going to be an aesthetic thing or whether there'll be bonuses to drinking out the gold one, I can't imagine there would, but who knows. But lots of variety there. And they've even got how they're going to pull the corks out. So, they're planning in advance for the animations. These are some of those bottles in their, I assume these are the in-game model forms. Obviously getting a bit religious there with the rosary bead and the crucifix again. Then we've got this very fancy one, which is sort of either... It's obviously leather inlaid with gold, and again you've got the symbology of the French military on there as well. Then you've got a nice standard old bottle with a stamp on there that's probably made with wax. Then we've got a slightly more leathery look there, not as fancy as the other one. And there they are in all their glory. You will notice that there's quite a few of these silver ones that don't have individual pictures. I'm not sure why, but the one that's second from the right there's a couple of this type of design, very silver with some religious sort of theme to it, or skeleton themes for a couple of different items. Then we got food containers or food cans. So again, I think you're going to have to eat like you do in Tarkov. Again, they've gone for a common design here to make it simple to know what they are, but tried to pull in things that were maybe available at the time. So you've got old metal with rusty leaks, and then you've got old hardened leather, a coated tin, which definitely probably find food in, old veneer, so that's a wooden one with the fork on the side there, and then old thick glass, which is, I suppose, like a big glass jar. And here's just a little bit zoomed in on the models for these. So that's our leather one. And we've got the tin, which looks pretty much like a food tin. Then we've got the glass one there. But I think they look very nice. Okay, moving on once more. Perhaps fitting in quite nicely after drinking and food, we have the medical items. So these ones are medical bags, chests, and things like that. I'm not sure if these are things that are going to be just models in-game, in shops and things, or if these are going to be where you will go in the map to get healed. A bit like Hunt, you have the med kits that you go up to and heal around the map. Obviously, you've got a standard sort of doctor's bag here. You've got a more sort of shoulder bag that's made of wood with lots of bottles in, and then you've got a proper fancy ornamental medical cabinet there, which opens in multiple places. Then we've got this blood bag. So there's a bunch of blood bags. They're obviously going to be important. I'm not sure what they're going to be for. I don't know if it's you lose blood, you need to replenish it, or if it's going to be related to the poison and the hunger and healing that. I'm not sure. But you have some very detailed bags here. So this is a leather-based one. Then we've got this, which is obviously, again, going back to that religious theming, lots of crucifixes and stuff. Obviously, silver, proper needles and everything. A little bit more detail on those. I mean, the detail on these is incredible, right? Someone deserves a pat on the back for these. Then you've got the variety there. So you've got the leather one, which now has, you can see the snake on it. And then we've got a sort of metal/leather one with a bit of glass in the middle, and then another variant of a leather one on the right hand side. And then here again, you remember I mentioned that the silver ones don't seem to have their own. So here, second from the right, this is the concept art stage, I believe. But that one, again, I think that's really nice because you can see the blood in it. It's very nice silver. You've got skull and crossbones on there. Again, I don't know what these blood bags are going to be for, but they obviously have a big relevance since they've gone to a lot of effort on them. So, other than that, when it comes to items, we also have weapons-based items, etc., etc. This image here, you can see what appears to be gunpowder pouches. So you've got a crude one, a medium one, and then a heavy one. And then you've got refined and exotic. And the refined and exotic look more like ammunition type stuff. So the refined one appears to be sort of, you know, for a revolver or something. It's your bullets, right? And then the exotic one looks even fancier than that with bullets in and springs and stuff. So I'm not sure what weapon that's for, but it does look very fancy. But I'm curious how all of these work, or whether they're just sort of generic looking things to differentiate between the weapon types. I'm not sure. But again, interesting to see. Okay, so we've got loads of grenades and loads of different types of traps. So we've got the man trap or the bear trap. Pretty standard stuff in a lot of games, right? So no surprise we're seeing that. And then also we've got a common grenade, which I assume will come in both throwing variants and also as a trap with a tripwire attached. And you can see there they've stuck one in a dead zombie's mouth. Then we've got some mines. So we've got a crude mine, which looks very basic in its design. I assume, again, you'll step on this and then whatever is next to it will explode. I don't know if you can attach any grenade to it or it's specifically this style. Obviously, it's just, you know, you stomp on that, you hit the flint, it lights the fuse, and then boom. And then we got a rare mine, which is obviously looking a lot more like a standard anti-tank mine in real life, right? That is obviously going to hurt if that goes off. Next up, we got a couple of other traps. So we've got the onion. It's definitely a trap here, but whether it can be a grenade as well, I'm not sure. But this looks like a shrapnel grenade. You know, it's got spikes on it, and they're going to shoot out when it explodes, so I assume causing bleeding. Then we've got the iron caltrop. I think I'm pronouncing that right. This is going to be for you to stand on and hurt your feet, right? It's a bit like what James Bond would pop out the back of his car to burst some tyres. And then we've got an uncommon trap, which is this going down the route of a holy hand grenade trap? It's obviously the standard grenades, but multiple strapped together. So that's going to hurt. Then we've got these ceramic grenades, which I think are quite fancy. Now, I don't know if the colour here differentiates what they do. Obviously, we've got some religious theming on the orange and red one there, whether that's like a flame grenade, I'm not sure. And the top one could be a smoke grenade. I honestly don't know. It just says ceramic grenades here. Question mark, basically. Then we've got magnesium grenades, or the first set of magnesium grenades. My thoughts is the one on the right is clearly a flashbang. Magnesium burns very, very brightly. I can see that being used as a flash. Fair enough. And then on the left-hand side, I'm assuming this one is either going to be... It must be a flame grenade, right? Due to the colour. Magnesium burns very hot, will melt through stuff. I'm sure along those lines that could indeed be some kind of flame grenade or a gas grenade. I'm not sure. The fact it has these vents at the top makes me wonder if it's gas, but it's very hard to know. Then we've got some more magnesium grenades. So again, we've got like a gas or flame grenade on the right here. Obviously like a German stick grenade. I'm assuming that's flames, and the flames come out of those little gaps. I'm really not 100% sure, but it does look orange like that. And then on the left hand side, I'm assuming this is just going to be like a standard sort of exploding grenade with what almost looks like little dynamite sticks inside, right? And you have to open it and light it like dynamite. Then we've got poison grenades. So very similar in vein to what we have in Hunt Showdown. So a glass grenade with poison inside, and you can even see maggots or worms in the top one there, which is obviously related to this disease, the hunger. And again, just another shot of those in-game rather than art this time, I believe. And again, you can see those worms in there, or the maggots, whatever they are. And then we got a smoke grenade, which very religious theming again. If you've ever been to a Catholic or Protestant church or whatever like that, and they've had the incense out and they're swinging it around, very much this sort of thing. Okay, now maybe the bit that you've all been waiting for. Weapons. Let's start with the melee weapons. So we have axes. This is kind of just a standard battle axe, I guess. And we've got a axe hermit, this is called, which looks a lot more like just a basic axe. It's maybe the cheapest one you could find. Then we've got a set of very fancy daggers. So this dagger is the Emperor's Talon, which obviously it's very nicely inlaid with the gold eagle and stuff like that. Then we've got a very religious one, the dagger Golgotha. Obviously going for the gothic sort of look. You've got the Virgin Mary on there and Jesus on the cross. Quite a nice ornamental piece. Then we've got a very basic dagger. This is called the Harrow, which is obviously made of bone, a bone dagger. Again, very nice artwork on it, though. Very religious looking. Then we've got the Kraken dagger, which splits into a three-pronged fork. How this is going to work in game and the type of damage it does, etc., I don't know. But I am very curious to find out. Then we've got the Misericorde. A Misericord. I'm not sure of the two. This is really weird. I feel like that blade looks really weak because it's so thin, and it's got a lot of weird stuff at the bottom there. Does that have another use or something? Obviously, the handle is very much like a sword handle. Then we've got something that's a little bit more basic, wooden handle. This is the Sindel. Very basic blade on there as well. Nothing too fancy at all. Very beaten up. Then we've got the dagger stag, obviously the handle here being made of a set of deer antlers most likely. Very nice design though in general. Then we have the dagger tenebris, which I'm pretty sure is a chisel that has been modified. It looks like a chisel to me. That's been adjusted. And there are all the daggers for your viewing pleasure, except the tenebris. Okay, pole arms, or the halberd. So these are long-range melee weapons, I guess, in the fact that they try to keep the enemy at a distance in most games. Whether that applies here, I don't know. But if you're playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 or something like that, the intention is that you keep the enemy out of range of being able to hit you with their weapons, because you have a longer reach, shall we say. Obviously, these are a bit like a pike, but they also have an axe on there as well. So you get a variety of ways to do damage, and on the back side of them, you can also see that they kind of have a hammer as well on some of them. Not the bottom one, but the middle one and the top one. So you've got a variety of options when it comes to hitting the enemy. And obviously the other end has a mace on it as well, so, you know, you're spoilt for choice to some extent. Then we've got a longsword, standard longsword. Can't really say much more about that. It's nothing too fancy, is it? A mace. A mace is a mace. Good for bashing people over the head. Rapier, maybe a little bit faster with that in terms of its attack speed. A little bit more ornamental. Then we've got a short sword. I do like the handle on that one. And then we've got war axes. So the middle one there is the one we saw at the very start. Then we've got a very basic one below that. And then look at the top one, though. Look at the detail on that. That is fancy. Again, very religious. If I click to move along to the next image, you can see here that we have an immense amount of detail on that blade. The writing, the imagery, very, very fancy. Not sure why it's got cloth on it, though. That's a little bit weird, but nice weapon nonetheless. And then we have the Zweihander. It's a two-handed sword. Zwei being the German for two. Yeah, two-handed sword. I mean, you can't really mistake it, can you? And that's all the melee weapons. Let us move on to the guns, which includes a crossover between the melee weapons and the guns. But we'll get to that. So first up is the Auster, which is a double-barrel pistol. Flintlock, obviously. This will take some loading or some time to load. And it has the double shot. You see the trigger is one in front of the other. So you pull the front trigger, that'll shoot one bullet or one shot, and then pull it further back and it'll set the other one off as well. Next we have the Barking Iron, which is the melee weapon I was talking about. So this is a sword with a pistol, or a revolver specifically. So I'm assuming this is one of those ones where you will attack with the sword and then shoot them as you make contact. Not sure what the range would be like on that pistol, but certainly it's obviously going to be pretty good close range. Then we have the Borodino, which has 5 shots or 5 bullets. I'm assuming it's going to be very much like the Derringer, which is a 4-shot weapon, and this will fire all 5 shots at once, and it's going to be close range. And obviously a little bit easier to load, I think, because it just snap open like a shotgun, and you load it that way. Then we have the Cavalier, a flintlock pistol. Slightly heavier duty, this one. Obviously, again, single-shot weapon, though, so going to take a while to reload. I can imagine in this game, ranged weapons are going to be very standoffish, or, you know, using them at the last second, because you're going to have to guarantee the hit, as you don't want to have to reload these things if you're having to do it, you know, by pouring the powder down, it's going to take time. Then we have the Seninture. This is a rifle or a shotgun, probably a rifle, I think. It's a flintlock, so it will have to be loaded awkwardly again. Very long barrel, very basic. I have no idea what kind of caliber these things are going to fire. If anyone knows if this is real and knows the caliber, let us know in the comments, please. Then we've got the Drac, which is fairly long rifle. It's got a scope on there, just a short scope, so nothing too fancy. But obviously the intention here being you can hold it or rest it on something and then take a longer range shot. This is also, I believe, bolt action. If you look at the back there, it does look like it has a bolt at the back on the opposite side to the scope. There aren't many bolt actions in this that I've seen so far. I'm not sure of the first bolt action rifles in terms of time frame. Again, someone with a lot of history knowledge will let us know, I'm sure. Next up, we have the Jaeger, which looks like a very big caliber. I'm not sure if this is a shotgun, but if you look at the end there, it does look like a very big caliber. Could be like a blunderbuss type thing in terms of what it shoots. I'm not sure. Loading doesn't appear to be flintlock. I think it might be bolt action or something, but it is hard to differentiate. Again, if anyone knows, let us know in the comments. Then we have the compass, which is, I'm assuming, well, it's a rifle, but I'm wondering if it's got another shot underneath it as well. You'll notice there's two barrels. And rather than the loading mechanism being flintlock or anything, you've got 4 shots available. So you obviously load it a different way. Maybe it's a little magazine that you just slot in from the side, I'm not sure, or you pop it out and load it that way. Then we've got the Lione, which is an extended revolver, basically, isn't it? You've got your usual revolver, you've got a way to load the bullets in at that side, the little piece flips out. Next up we've got the Louisville, which is flintlock rifle. Looks a lot like Springfield, similar aesthetic to that. And then we've got the pistol Jukes, which is obviously double barrel pistol, flintlock again. This one only has a single trigger, so I'm assuming both shots go off at once. I say assuming. Not certain on that. Not certain at all. Though is there a second trigger in front of the back trigger actually? So there's a funny little piece at this side, isn't there? I'm really not sure. It's going to take some in-game shots to understand that. Then we've got the snub pistol. I assume big caliber, very short, close range pistol. Again, it is flintlock. And there's another shot of that. I do like the designs on it. Those are the skeletons. Then we've got the Swan, which is our first sniper rifle with a proper long sniper scope on there. This one, I'm unsure. I think it's got a different loading mechanism to anything we've seen so far. It looks like there's a hinge on the side. It's certainly not going to be flintlock with putting everything down the actual barrel. There's some kind of mechanism at the back end there, but unsure what it is. And then we've got this bad boy, which is this real? Because it looks very familiar. Obviously, it's a bit like Tommy gun, isn't it? In terms of the bullet housing or the shot housing at the top there. Obviously, that's going to spin every time you shoot. How you load it, I'm not sure. Do you just slot things in the ones that aren't currently in line with the barrel? Who can say? Do you take the entire thing out and replace it? Unsure. But obviously, a multi-shot weapon there. Don't know how rare multi-shot weapons are going to be in this game. Possibly very. Then we've got the Vor, or Vior. Could be any of the above. V-O-I-R. Anyway, this again looks like it's a sniper weapon, but weirdly it looks like a shotgun from its shape. Not sure how this loads. Could be bolt action of some description, but I'm wondering what the whole tube under the barrel is for. That's something to do with the mechanism of the gun, isn't it? But I don't know what. And that's all of them. So that's all the weapons and all the items that we've been shown so far. It has turned into a little bit of a long video, so I apologise, but obviously you can sit down with a cuppa and take your time going through it and jump to the sections you want, as I say. But I really like the art in this. I think they've done a fantastic job so far. I can't wait to see some of this stuff in-game properly. Really curious how some of these weapons load and how long it takes to reload. Because that's going to change up the gameplay a lot. Because is it going to be worth pulling back and reloading, or should you just charge in with melee? Lots of questions here. Curious how this game is going to play. I feel like it's going to play very differently to Hunt because of the nature of these weapons being much older and taking a lot longer to reload for a lot of them. But we will see. Thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to subscribe so you stay tuned for the latest news on Hunger, and I'll see you all soon.